We are not only doing it live, we are live and on site. Welcome on in, ladies and gentlemen. You've got Andy. That's Cody. You found the Outlap F1 podcast, and we are in Texas, baby. As you can see, the cow is here. The cow is happy. We have traversed all the way down here. And we just got back from the track walk earlier today. So we verified that the track is there. The cars are there. They're all going to get ready to go as of tomorrow. Cody, my man, what a day. Day one.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Track walk was a blast. We did not bake in the sun as badly as I thought we would.
Yet.
I got to see some really good pit practice or pit stop practice for the Williams team. I got to see Franco Colapinto up close and personally. He was like 5 feet away from me signing autographs. I made eye contact with him, gave him a wave. That was really cool. Got to see George Russell and Pierre Gasly from a distance. Lots of good pit practice. Got to actually stand out on the track for a little while this time. Last time I came here and did this with you, they were shooing us right along. We went to exit and they were like, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. This time they actually were letting people stay out on the track and take pictures, which was really cool.
Yeah, we actually got to hang out in the grandstand for a little bit, which was something we've never been able really to do before, because usually they are literally trying to get you out of there for the next group to come in. But this was a fun day. I've got shots of a very, very, very exasperated Tom Stallard, who, that dude has my ultimate respect, because he freaking ran the track. They're not kidding. He ran all 5 point whatever it is kilometers. Is where when we get to our track facts, we'll talk about it. But he was in a spot when he got back to the McLaren garage or that area. We'll talk about the McLarens in the track walk and the lack of them. However, we did get a rush past as we were waiting in line by one Pato O'Ward from IndyCar, and who is the McLaren reserve drivers. We got a chance. All of a sudden, it's like, holy crap, that was Pato O'Ward.
Walked right by us. I could have given him a fist bump. I did not realize in time that it was him. I was just like, oh, what the hell is he playing?
When it's hot, your brain doesn't process as well. You have to kind of think of like, he was already passed. So I wanted to yell Viva Mexico, and maybe he would have turned around and said something and maybe gave me a fist bump. Oh, well, I've met Pato at other occasions. He's a great guy, and if you find him in the IndyCar paddock, he will sign whatever you want. He's great. But you're not here to talk about IndyCar. We're here to talk about F1. So if you found our show, as always, welcome along. This will be Season 7, Episode 36, the 2025 USGP preview live and on site here in Texas. We're at a suburb of Austin, but we're in Austin, Texas. Yeah. So if you found our show, like I said, welcome along. You can find us as always on X, on Instagram, on Discord, a little bit on every now and then on Reddit. Cody likes to go on to Reddit for that, but always kind of here on YouTube as well. Outlap F1 podcast is the handle for all of those places. I will be posting some pictures on our X account later of some of the track walk and some of the videos. He got the Alpine. Which pit stop did you get?
So I got really good ones of the Williams pit stops. I got several iterations of them trying to change the tires.
Okay.
They got better as they went. I think I got a little bit of the nose changes too.
So I got a really good one of Aston Martin, who decided to do it right in front of me as I was just kind of standing there. So yeah, we will put some of that out for you guys to see, so you can enjoy kind of as we did the track walk earlier today. But again, like I said, always one place to find us. Outlap F1 podcast is the handle for all that. Email the show, outlapf1@gmail.com. Thank you so much to our continued supporters who always support the show. Thank you so much to Dean Warwick, Yuri Dolchester, Paul Weaver, Quentin Warden, Kevin Kelly, who's been amazing, sending me all sorts of fun stuff that we're going to talk about, a lot of it. Regan Stanzik, Timothy Brown, and of course, Jonathan Scott. If you'd like to join that Hall of Fame list, there is an anchor page. It does ask for a small monetary donation. What does that do? That just allows us to keep all of this mobile equipment that I had to pack up and get through security from O'Hare. Thank you very much to TSA for not giving me a hard time about all this. It allows us to do exactly stuff like this. So that's where your money would go, into making the show a little bit better, a little bit more accessible for you guys, the listener. All right. There was also a ton of news that broke. Like literally, we were in the airport waiting to get on the plane. There was news breaking. We got down here. There was news breaking. Lots of things have been announced. Some things have been announced, some things have not. But we'll give you kind of an update on the state of play with a lot of different stuff. The first one, big story coming out yesterday. George Russell, Kimi Antonelli are not going anywhere. Big shocker, really, when you think about it. It's just been waiting for this announcement. Cody can finally stop making fun of me about when they're going to announce this thing. George Russell, Kimi Antonelli will race for Mercedes in 2026. The Russell deal is reportedly a multi-year deal, up to 30 million British pounds per year. So that will make him one of the highest paid drivers for sure on the grid. From George Russell, he is, quote, very proud to be continuing on the journey. Next year will mark his 10th since he signed with Mercedes back in 2017. It's been a long and successful partnership with the team. Can't wait to see what lies ahead, particularly as they embark on one of the largest regulation changes in the sport's history over the next year. We're all incredibly focused on making that a success. And for me, personally, building on what has been my strongest F1 season to date. As for Kimi Antonelli, he has convinced the uppers and Toto Wolff that he is worth it. And he is, quote, super excited to be continuing with the team. The 19-year-old said, I've learned so much in my life I've learned so much in my first season in F1, both in the good moments and more the challenging ones. They've all made me stronger, not only as a driver, but as a teammate too. I want to say thank you to Toto and everyone at Brackley and Brixworth for their continued support and faith in me. So, not a surprise. We finally got it. But pen to paper has happened. George Russell not going anywhere. Thoughts, Cody?
Yeah, again, not surprised. George Russell has been knocking out of the park so far this season. Mercedes would have been crazy to not sign him again or to only go for a single year deal because they want somebody else, like, I don't know, Max Verstappen. George Russell has what it takes. So I thought for sure that they were going to sign him again. It just was up to when they were going to sign him, how much for, and for how long. And it does look like he's going to be driving for Mercedes for a little while yet. And he's going to be making really good money.
Yeah, he got that paper. And he signed that paper. And smart move.
Yes.
I think all the way across the board, it's a move that makes sense. It's good for George. It's good for Mercedes. It stabilizes that team. They now have their number one for the foreseeable future. They can bring up Kimi Antonelli as they can. Kimi Antonelli's kind of gone through the classic rookie curve where he showed real well early, had some problems, but he's fought through it. He's kind of coming out on the other side. Now he's showing good again here at the end of the season. So all sorts of good stuff for both of those teams. That team should be one to watch for sure next year, because we've all talked about it many times. Merc Power Unit is going to be the one to have, at least to start, going into the 2026 regs. All right, so turning to not only the USGP, but more specifically, Circuit of the Americas. It's not formally announced yet, but it looks like it's pretty much all but a done deal. Circuit of the Americas will be on the F1 calendar until at least 2034. Holy Hannah, they finally got the deal just about all the way done. It's already been reported by the Austin Business Journal and Speed City Broadcasting, who are our local boots on the ground and a great show, and go check them out and go listen to them on Sirius XM. And hey, every once in a while, I might call in and say hi. But we'll see if we end up getting that done from the parking lot. If we have cell service, it's a whole nother story. But it's great. It's a smart, sensible move. It makes sense. The USGP has found its home here in Austin. The event just gets bigger every year. It just seems like every time I come down here, there's a little bit more. They've got this roller coaster thing that they just built in one of the parking lots. You can play mini golf at the track now. There's the karting. There's suites. You can, if you have gazillions of extra dollars, you can house your car there and sleep next to your car if you are so inclined at Circuit of the Americas, and take your car on the track for track days and all sorts of fun stuff. So there's a whole lot happening at this venue. It's not going anywhere. It's only the other thing that happens is every year when they first built it, it was so far out in the sticks. You were literally kind of in farmland. The city has come out to where the track is. So it's there's still a little bit of farm, but there's a lot of buildup. So Cody, thoughts on COTA staying right where it is on the calendar?
It is very exciting. I'm glad that they've got a nice long-term deal for us. So it's going to be around for many years to come. Whether or not we can still afford to go to the race by 2034 is yet to be seen. But I think that this is the best of the three United States races from a race perspective. I always prefer a race on purpose-built track. What this track is, and it always provides really good racing, which can't be said necessarily about the Miami GP. And the Las Vegas one is kind of somewhere in the middle there. But it's definitely the best racing. I don't think they're going back to Indianapolis anytime soon. So it's good that we're going to be keeping this one around for the foreseeable future. It gives me a few excuses to come back to Texas.
Yeah, I was doing the math. If somehow I managed to make it to 2033, by the time this contract ends, that would be 20 years. That'd be 20 years coming to this place every time.
Except for one.
Well, that was a COVID year. No, I accounted for that. I took 1 year off for the COVID year. It was 2012, and that was why I skipped it. They said if the 2033 race would mark 20 times, I would have come down here for the race. So we'll see. Life goals. May all good things continue, and lots of hurdles to get between now and then. We'll see what happens, but I'm glad that it's here. Glad that it's here to stay. The city is just absolutely electric when the place comes to town. Williams has an activation fan event. McLaren have got a fan activation event in downtown. There's F1 stuff all over the place. You can find F1 merch if you go, even window shopping downtown. You can find it. It's kind of just it's the home of this race, and this is where it belongs, and I'm glad to see it. All right, so turning our attention to this weekend, Cody, is going to be hot.
Yeah, I pray every time that I come down here that it's going to be better. It's October. To me, from Chicago, October means it's getting cold outside or cool.
Trees turning.
Yes.
Hint of fall.
Every time we come down here, I'm like, surely it can't be that hot in October. And looking at the forecast, it's going to be 90 the entire time that we're here. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be no better than any other time we've come here. So I'm going to have to take cover in the shade when I can and drink plenty of water. Apparently, Formula One's already considered this to be a heat hazard event. So I think that means that the drivers they can wear those.
They can wear the suits. Yep. They have to account, and they have to make them available. They don't have to use them per se, but they have to make them available if the drivers so desire to have them, which means that the weight limits get changed in a little bit, here and there. But they've already mandated that. That's already been a document.
If one of the drivers doesn't want to use it, I will happily borrow it because our spot is directly in the sun. It does not get shady bias at all until the sun goes behind
8 laps to go.
Yeah. So we're going to be turned to a...
Yeah, no, we went and did a grocery run, and we bought the SPF 100 level sunblock. So, and we're still going to get burnt because we're going to sweat it off, and it comes with the territory, but we love it. And that's why we come here. But anyway, so for sure, it's going to be a hot weekend. FIA is already kind of prepared for it. The other theme to the weekend is anybody running their regular livery, because most of the teams are not. Talk about different ones coming out, like Haas was the first one to come out. Then Aston Martin came out with a different livery slightly. Red Bull craned Max Verstappen's car over the Colorado River, which I thought was pretty cool, right over downtown. Racing Bulls, that's probably the loudest one of all the special liveries, of the one that you're going to notice when you see it, because it's and Alpine even have a neon green stripe that they've added to their livery here. So yeah, all sorts of different looking cars. McLaren have one, not the silver one that they had last year, although I wish they would have brought that back because that thing just popped. But it's a white chrome livery, they said.
Not literally chrome, but like Google Chrome.
Yes, Google Chrome Gemini or something is what they're calling it. And the drivers are in white suits this weekend, which is probably not good because you're going to get very, very sweaty. But anyway, we'll see kind of how all that plays. But Cody, thoughts on, did you have a favorite livery? I know which one we all didn't like.
The one that I liked a lot was the new special Williams livery.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of white in it. It kind of looks like it's a throwback to when Williams had a partnership with BMW a little bit. So that one looks really sharp. A few of them are very minor changes, which to me is a little underwhelming and boring. The Aston Martin one has the Aramco lettering in yellow, and something I didn't notice from the page that I noticed once I got up close to the car that is actually pretty cool is they're kind of leaning into the whole science that goes into
Aramco. I noticed that too, where it was like they have all these like equations, and you almost think like it's like Adrian Newey, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that on the picture.
Yeah, that was actually kind of cool once you got up close and you saw that bit of it. Yeah, the Racing Bulls one is ugly as shit.
It's supposed to be like leathery, like Texas leather or something like that.
I couldn't tell if they were trying to do like some kind of like golden camouflage or something. Like it doesn't even really look good once you get up close to it.
I mean, the race suits don't look too bad, kind of, but they're definitely leaning into the cowboy theme, and there's a lot of that. I think Lewis Hamilton rode in on a horse. Earlier today, I saw reports or something like that, and he was answering questions about it. It was his first time on a horse. Not the Daniel Ricciardo horse. That was Horsey McHorseface. different animal.
The McLaren livery might be cool.
We've seen it.
We would know. The cars were under.
They were literally under the FIA black tarps that you normally only see when the cars enter Parc Fermé. So I don't know exactly what happened. We stayed for like an extra hour waiting in the grandstand to see if somebody might come out and, take the thing off. We could only see the front wing. It didn't happen. Kind of annoying. And look, I've seen McLaren cars before. I've seen them up close before. It's not the end of my world, but if this is your first time coming and the only time you're ever going to make it here, you should have the cars out for this type of thing. It's the best opportunity that anybody has to engage the fan. I know they have that whole activation thing in downtown Austin. I saw some shots of it. There's a line literally going around. They have a 2025 chassis there, supposedly, that you can get really up close to. So it's not like they're not trying, but at the track, it rang a little hollow for me, especially since they were in pole position of the constructors and all that stuff. But anyway, I will forget about it probably by the end of tomorrow when I see them on track. All right, another story that we've been following, been talking about it. We still don't have resolution to it. There, as of tonight, is still no U.S. F1 TV rights deal signed and sealed or delivered. There's one reporter who apparently has some insight into the negotiation. His name is John Oren. He works for Puck Media. So go check his accredited stuff out. But apparently the hang-up, and we were nervous about this when we first started talking about Apple TV, is apparently F1 TV, which the initial reports were all going to be that this was supposedly totally separate from F1 TV, that F1 TV was going to be left alone to do what it does. We actually saw, what we did see in front of the McLaren garages was the F1 TV crews doing their weekend warm-up stuff. I wanted to yell something to distract them, and then I thought for a minute, I'm like, hey, that's not a good idea. They're working. Maybe we should leave them alone. So that's what I chose to do. But I did see Jolyon Palmer, Ruth Buscom-Divey, and the name is going to kill me. The other presenter. No, dark-haired girl. Anyway, someone's going to correct me later. I will look up her name and I will apologize in the review.
Sebastian Vettel always used to flirt with, right?
Sort of. But she's also great. Like they're all great. They were all doing their stuff, and James Hinchcliffe was there too. So he'll be on the broadcast this weekend, which is a good thing. His insight is actually pretty darn good. So there's a lot of good about F1 TV, and we like it, and we buy it, and we do the onboards, and I sync the onboards to the main broadcast and all this other stuff every week. And here comes Apple TV saying, well, now we want control of this, whether or not that would mean changes to how it's consumed. I would assume they would want it all under their platform. And then maybe they would geo-X out the US for F1 TV, which would be a crying shame if that happens. That would actually make me quite angry as a fan. I'm okay with possibly, if you make your content better than what F1 TV has, I may check out Apple TV. I probably will buy it just to see what it's like, but I'm not going to be happy if they eliminate F1 TV since FOM has put a lot into it. They made it successful, and now here it's maybe going to go away. Cody, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Apple would be really shitty if they got rid of F1 TV. I understand why they would, because Apple TV really is already a streaming service, and the whole point of them getting the F1 rights is to get you to come buy Apple TV. So if there is another streaming service that you can pay for just for F1, if that's what you're into, of course they're not going to like that. But that's what I like. I like paying for the F1 TV and getting just F1 and having it come out just the way I like it. I've been using it with Andy here for several years, and it's always worked very well. They finally have a TV app for F1 TV, so now I don't have to play around.
Some stores have it. My Samsung store does not.
No, I got it on my Sony TV, and it works great. Don't have to putz around with hooking up the computer to the TV anymore. And yeah, to finally getting that app working as well as it is, and have the different tiers where you can just pretty much watch the race if you want to do it on cheap, or if you want all the extra onboards like Andy does, you can pay extra for that. To get rid of that all of a sudden would really be a kick in the teeth to everyone who made it work.
I mean, if Apple TV takes this over, there's I've got 4 things that have to happen. 1, no commercials. Mm-hmm. If you start putting in side-by-side ads in the middle of these races, I'm going to have some sort of a conniption as an F1 fan. We fought long and hard to get that treatment, and damn it, we deserve that. 2, you got to have all 20 onboards working all the time. And don't have them go out, or if they do go out, have some sort of support network, because as we've even with F1 TV, they haven't worked all the time. And sometimes you got to tell them that, hey, this thing isn't working, because it's a huge thing. Like, they can't, you'd think they would have somebody watching all 20 of them, but amazingly they don't, other than me sometimes, which is kind of scary. But that either here nor there. But you gotta do that. You gotta make sure that the thing doesn't crash on the first race. If we get to Australia 2026 and you go to fire up your Apple TV as a US fan and you get the swirling circle of death, my God, the fandom is going to have, talk about freak out, because there's no other option. You have to go through streaming then. So it's a huge thing. I know that the price tag is somewhere around 150 million. It's a lot of money. I get it. But the F1 TV infrastructure is already there. They know it works. They've worked on getting a lot of the bugs out of it. And they have a network that's in place that can fix things when they go wrong, especially in the realm of the onboards, where like you can tell that they've sometimes gone to like a second or a third backup broadcast to keep these onboards going, because cars have stuff happen to them. There's a ton of radio traffic going on. Cell phone signals get weird. Satellites fall out of the sky. All sorts of stuff. This is what Apple TV is going to get themselves into. And if you make it like the first time Netflix went live, they had a boxing match and nobody could watch it, and it was panned. F1 TV fans, it's a lot bigger group. So, and if you piss them off and you can't come out of the gate right, people are going to have a problem, man. So I'm worried. I'm very worried. I want to see what this deal has in it. My personal hope is that they go do what they want to go do. I can check them out as I want. If they want to do some sort of their own coverage and have different broadcasters on it, fine. I will sit back and wait to hear who those broadcasters are. But I think the smart thing would be just take the Sky feed. The Sky feed is usually pretty good, except when they have certain people on it, and you all know where I stand on that. But anyway, we'll leave that there. But something to watch. We're going to keep watching it. And when we know more, we will tell you. All right. So that is pretty much a catch up on the news in the last 2-3 days. It's been really, really crazy. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to re-rack. We'll come on back. We'll get into the weekend proper with our Circuit of the America Track Facts. We'll tell you about that weather. Going to be hot. We know that. There's a odd little chance of some little rain cell popping up. We'll talk about it. I don't think it's actually going to be anything to worry about, but interesting enough. We will talk about that, and then we will give you our thoughts on what we think is going to happen this weekend. We got a sprint weekend coming up, so all sorts of good stuff. So come on back. You won't want to miss it. All right, welcome back on into our hotel room with the cow and all sorts of fun stuff as we have landed in Austin. You found the Outlap F1 podcast. You've got Andy. I'm Andy. That's Cody. And we just caught you up on all of the news and all of the stuff that had been breaking as we were flying and getting settled in. We also talked a bit about our track walk earlier today, which was a lot of fun. So day one in the books. But we have a sprint weekend on tap. We have a whole lot of stuff to still go through. And we hope you'll stick with us for the second segment. First thing up on the docket, Cody, tell us about the Circuit of the Americas, brought to us by our good friends at Pirelli Motorsport.
Circuit of the Americas, located in Austin, Texas, USA, right about where we're at. Number of laps for the Grand Prix is 56, and the length of the circuit is 3.436 miles. That's 5.513 kilometers, and it consists of 20 turns. Tire selection from Pirelli is going to be a little different than last year. They're actually going to skip a tire compound. So we've got the C1 for the hard, C3 for medium, and C4 soft. And the track characteristics from Pirelli are actually identical to what they were last year. So apparently the track has changed that much. We've got a 4 out of 5 for traction, 3 out of 5 for asphalt grip, 3 out of 5 for asphalt abrasion, 4 out of 5 for track evolution, 4 out of 5 for tire stress, a 3 out of 5 for braking, 4 out of 5 for lateral load, and a 4 out of 5 for downforce. The qualifying lap record has not changed in quite a few years at this point. That was set by Valtteri Bottas in 2019 with a 1 minute 32.029 seconds, and the race lap record has stood for just as long. That was also set in 2019 by Charles Leclerc for Ferrari with a 1 minute 36.169 seconds. Most wins at this track is going to go to Lewis Hamilton, 5 wins, followed by Max Verstappen with 3. And as of last year, we did get a new winner with Charles Leclerc, so we have several drivers tied with 1 win apiece between Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Räikkönen, Valtteri Bottas, and Charles Leclerc. Most constructor wins at this track is also going to go to Lewis Hamilton's former team, Mercedes, with 6 wins, followed by 4 for Red Bull and 2 for Ferrari. What is the circuit like?
All right. Well, if the corners of Circuit of the Americas seem familiar, they definitely should be. Feels like Japanese culture where we take the best of each part and make it our own, and Coda has kind of done that. Turns 3 through 6 look very similar to Silverstone's high-speed run through Maggots and Beckett's, or the S-curves at that Suzuka track, while turns 12 through 15 mimic Hockenheim's stadium section. The uphill run into the very, very wide and very, very steep turn 1. Hey, everything is bigger in Texas, you damn right, has provided some fine overtaking action in the track's just a little bit short life. As for that weather, as we talked about, is going to be hot. Friday for sprint quali, which will happen in the afternoon. If you're in the UK, you got prime time F1, baby, this weekend, so enjoy this time spot. Sprint quali, mainly sunny skies, high 92. We're going to have to seek shelter at some point. Winds out of the south-southeast, 5 to 10, a scant 3% chance of rain. Saturday is kind of the weird day. It's definitely going to be cloudy skies early, and then it'll become a little more partly cloudy later in the day. The high, though, 94. So if the sun comes out from behind the clouds, it's going to get hot. It's going to get hot fast. Winds out of the south-southwest, 5 to 10, a 15% chance of rain. That's been moved up because there's this tiny little thing that if they tap into the Gulf moisture, it could mainly get up to Austin. I don't think it's actually going to happen. I think it's just going to be cloudy. Or if it rains, it's going to sprinkle for like 2 seconds. So I don't think we're going to see intermediate tires. For Sunday, for race day, mainly sunny. The clouds will dissipate by then. Not quite as hot. High only up to 88, but that's still pretty toasty. Winds out of the northeast, different directions, so could affect the cars a little bit more at 10 to 15. So that's the gustiest day. A scant 1% chance of rain. Alrighty. Well, all right. Let's take a stab at what we think is going to happen on this weekend. We have a sprint weekend, so there's lots of points and good stuff on tap. The qualifying pole sitter from last year, that was Lando Norris for the main race, and that's where we will start. This session will happen Saturday afternoon. Get ready to get your memes out because it's going to be that golden hour of qualifying, so should make it for a fun and a little bit of a long day for us, but we'll bear it. That's our cross to bear, as it were, and we're happy to do it for all of you. But anyway, Cody, who do you got taking the main race qualifying pole position?
At this point, I don't care if I'm shooting myself in the foot to win our predictions game at the end of the year. As long as he's got a chance, I'm going to go full fanboy here and keep rooting for Max Verstappen to get me some points in the game here. I think Max Verstappen has a pretty good chance getting pole at the U.S. Grand Prix. He's run here very well before, won several races. I think he pretty much didn't he get the sprint pole last time I was here with you?
Yep.
It's been a while, but yes.
He had himself a day last time you were here.
Yeah. So going for Max Verstappen once again for pole position.
All right. I haven't done this one in a while, but I have to face reality. This is probably not a McLaren going to go out and get right track. Maybe. We'll see. Car was under covers. We couldn't tell. So I don't have any insight to give you yet until we see them running tomorrow. That having been said, historically, it has not been a McLaren favorable qualifying pace track, even though Lando came out with that hell of a lap last time. He called it one of the best laps of his career. I don't think he's going to be able to repeat it this year. Just looking at the tea leaves, because it's going to be so hot, I would favor a Mercedes here, but with that rise in temperatures, I can't necessarily pick them. So who does that leave? That leaves Max Verstappen, probably because that car is as good as it's been all year, and he's got the gumption to go for it enough to get that car there. So I'm going to have Max Verstappen on the pole for the main race this season. All right. So our lap time, last year's lap time was the 132.330 by Lando Norris. It would be track records if we go a little bit faster than that. Cody, what you got here?
Do you think we're going to see some track records? The last couple of times we've done pole, my margins have been too small. So I'm going with a nice big margin over last year. I'm going with a 1 minute 31.667 seconds.
All right. I got a track record too, but I'm going to be slightly slower than you. I thought I had gone in fast lane, but I did not. I got a 131.858, as it turns out here. All right, so the big race on Sunday, the 2024 podium was Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz. I believe this was the last Ferrari 1-2
yeah,
that we've seen. I don't think they've been repeating it since. I don't think they think they're going to do it again this year. And Max Verstappen came home third. And this was Lando Norris actually came home third on the road and was given the 5-second penalty. Then we had the 2-week discussion of what the heck with overtake was. Let's hope we don't have that type of thing, because I really don't want to do a frame by frame of another overtake, but unless it's a great one, but we'll see where that ends up. But Cody, who do we think is going to get it done on Sunday here in Austin?
I think Max Verstappen is going to convert pole into win, and I'm really surprised by how well Mercedes has done lately. We did see kind of a surprise win from George Russell out of Singapore, where it was really, really hot, where they have tended to struggle in the past. I think they're going to continue to do well for the rest of the season. So I've actually got George Russell coming home in second this time, and then Lando Norris in third.
All right. I have the McLarens versus Max in the epic duel, which will go all sorts of places this weekend. I don't think the McLarens have it for qualifying pace. I think they'll be in the game. I'm hoping that they're going to be close enough, but I think Max is going to have it at the end of the day. I don't think the Mercedes are going to go here just because it's a different type of heat. The Singapore is hot, it's muggy, but there's no direct sunlight. This track is going to bake in the sun. And I think that brings the McLaren tire deg thing that they haven't had since Zandvoort back into play a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's what the McLaren car does well. I think the race pace will be there. And I think Oscar Piastri's got to go out and prove a point. He's been having his lead come down for the last 3 rounds. He's got to put a line in the sand and go, no more. So I've got pissed off Piastri being a thing. There was some talk in the press conference I read. Apparently, Lando Norris has suffered some sort of a McLaren consequence for the thing. Don't know what that means. Whether or not that means that, like, Oscar gets to go out first for qualifying for 2 races in a row. I don't know what it means. We'll find out in due course. But anyway, there's been a consequence. Lando's been slapped somewhere, and we'll just deal with that later. However, that all being said, back to my race prediction. Pissed off Piastri going to be a thing. I've got Oscar Piastri taking the win, passing Max Verstappen on track, because this is a place you can overtake. I don't think it's going to be easy. But I think if there's going to be one guy on the grid who can do it, it's Oscar Piastri. And I got Lando Norris coming home in third. So, but Max definitely going to be a factor for sure. But I hope Oscar can put a line in the sand and get this thing back on track for him. All right. So for our fastest lap and the driver, the 2024 fastest lap is kind of fascinating. Esteban Ocon got it in a Haas, putting out a set of softs at the end, a 137.330. We got kind of all over the board on this one. This one could be basically anybody, especially now that there's no point for it. Cody, what you got here?
Was that the Haas, or did he do that still with Alpine? He's only been with Haas since this year, right?
Yeah, right.
So he did with the tractor of an Alpine.
Yeah.
But I do have the Max Verstappen.
The Max. He's just a thing now.
Yes. I have Max.
He is a thing.
Coming out and taking over this weekend. So far, I've had him for a pole. I've had him for the win. I'm also putting him down for fastest. I'm doing it marginally faster than last year with a 1 minute 37.111 seconds.
All right. Very good. I do think Mercedes are going to have pace, but they're going to have pace really early in their stints, and I think that's where you're probably going to see it. So I've got actually George Russell getting the fastest lap. I've got a 1:37.89 for the lap time there. All right, for bonus picks, we've picked P4, P7, and P2. Good cross-section of the grid here. I'll go first with this one. I can't, as good as the Ferraris were here last year, and what makes the Ferrari really good? Newer tarmac, not a lot of curves. No new tarmac here, and a lot of curves. So I don't think this is going to go well for Ferrari, but they'll be around. The question will be how much floor will they have at the end of the day. So I'm going to say Charles Leclerc comes home P4 in contention, but probably not good enough for the podium. Lewis Hamilton to come home P7, which is going to be a sight to see because this is like the house that Lewis built in a lot of ways. And for P12, I'm going to give that one to Liam Lawson in that awful looking Racing Bull. But I've got him coming home just outside the points. Cody, what you got here?
All right, so this might be more wishful thinking than anything else for Max's championship hopes, but I do have Oscar Piastri coming at 4th, therefore missing out on the podium. I do think this is going to be a rough weekend for the Ferraris, so I've got Charles Leclerc actually coming all the way down in 7th place. And then, unfortunately, I have Yuki Tsunoda being completely useless for Red Bull again this weekend and coming in 12th and not getting any points and not being there to help out. I feel for him, but I do really think his career is done after this season.
His F1 career may be done. I think he's got a job in Super Formula anytime he wants one,
yeah.
But we'll see. But anyway, for our prop bet this weekend, as we have a sprint race, we're only going with the winner. So we're only giving out one extra point here. Cody, who you got winning the sprint?
Yeah, it's not even a yes/no, which we usually do for prop bets. An easy one. This one can get it, or both of us might not get it. But I'm going to continue to fanboy and go do.
I'm not going to fanboy because I do think early on, if the McLaren qualifying setup isn't quite where they want it to be and they'll have to work on it, the sprint may not go really great for them either. I think they'll be there. I think it's going, despite the fact that Coda you would think would be a great track to have a sprint, I'm worried about the sprint because unless it is Lando, Oscar, and Max in some sort of a trifecta at the front, I don't know where I'm going to see my overtaking.
Yeah, in 2023, we watched the sprint race in that twilight golden hour, and it actually turned out to be pretty boring.
Yeah, so and this one's going to be in the heat of the day, right at noon, early up. So prime time again if you're in the UK, 6 o'clock for you guys. So that's going to be great. But I do think if Max is going to take sprint pole, he's probably going to take sprint victory because the two McLarens cannot afford to get into a match with him over 1 point. They will sacrifice the point for knowledge gained, race pace, air deg data, all that other good stuff. We'll see what happens. I'm assuming everyone's going to run the C3. Does someone get weird and try to put a C1 on? You're going to have 2 sets of them, but who knows? But it'll be interesting. It's what Pirelli's tried to mix this up with the step in the compound. So we'll see what that happens. But I got Max taken for the sprint part. I think he will own the first day or two. But as I've said before, it's all to play for this weekend. So when and where can you watch your F1 in the U.S. this weekend? It will be on all sorts of places, but ESPN Family of Networks has you covered. Practice 1:25 p.m. Eastern. That will be found. ESPN 2, the sprint shootout qualifying session happens 5:25 p.m. Eastern. So we got a long day ahead of us tomorrow. That's going to be on ESPN 2. The sprint race itself will happen 1:55 p.m. Eastern. ESPN News is your place for that, followed by the full qualifying for the Grand Prix, 5:55 p.m. Eastern, so later in the day. That'll be on ESPN News as well. The race will be free to air. Big ABC has your coverage. If you are an ESPN Plus subscriber, you can watch it that way as well. F1 TV, of course. While we have it, we might as well promote it. You can also watch on F1 TV. And there will be several re-airs, but that kicks off 3 p.m. Eastern, p.m. Central local time here. The race will re-air 7 p.m. on ESPN News as well as 2 p.m. on ESPN2. So we have a full docket on offer this weekend. We are going to basically go get some rest and come back for it. But if you've made it this long, thanks a lot for sticking with us. It's great to be able to do this from you live from our hotel room. We're actually here. We will be posting pictures and whatnot throughout the course of the weekend. So stay attuned to all that. If there's any other news that breaks, we'll do our best to bring it to you. But for Cody, it's been Andy. Stay safe out there. And as always, may all your laps be fast.